Hello and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Norfolk, where I'm here completing day 2 of the Nar Valley Way. So the village of Narborough sits about a mile actually behind me, and I've been following the river the whole time, except little worth a note just at the A47. There's a chance of going under the A47, which is only about 3 foot high, so you have to really sort of crouch down, or you go round. But if you go round, there's steps down the other side, but then you've got to go over a bank which is really steep and loose. Let me go under this tree that's fallen. And it was quite unpleasant, so if you can go under the bridge, go under the bridge. But anyway, this section is about 18 kilometres, which is 11.5 miles, and it's going to finish at Litcham. We've got a car parked just over there so that we can get back. And the river is looking beautiful at the moment. Really clear. I can see the bottom, I can see all the weeds just gently moving. So one interesting historic feature that's quite near to here, it's about half a mile or so actually now in that direction. It's much nearer the village of Narborough, and that is an Iron Age fort, and they're very, very uncommon in this part of the country. I can only think actually of three others off the top of my head. There's one at Thetford, there's one at Warham, and there's another one just up near Holcombe as well. So there's probably a few more around, but they're the only ones that I can think of at the moment. And this fort obviously dates to pre-Roman times, so probably, 500 or 600 BC. And it may seem like a bit of a random location for them, but actually it's quite a good location, because just near where I am at the moment is the line of the Icknield Way. Bear with me while I just try and fight my way through some holly bushes. This is going to hurt. So that was rather unpleasant. There's some really overgrown holly trees right on the path, and you've got to fight your way through. So battered it with the stick a little bit just to try and break a little channel through for people. But anyway, yeah, so just up ahead is actually the line of the Icknield Way, which is an ancient trackway that comes from the end of the Ridgeway, which is down in sort of Wiltshire area, and actually travels all the way up to the Norfolk coast. And the Iron Age fort just sits a couple of 100 metres away from there, so I think it's actually a very strategic place, being surrounded by part of the river as well for defence, and then these high banks as well. So we just come out of the trees into an actual estate, and I didn't know this, but if I look to my left over here, there is like a little temple, which is the sort of thing you'd see in a big country estate. And just from here, I can look down this long avenue, because this would have been a viewpoint down here, and that's Narford Hall. That's a Grade 1 listed building, and it dates back to about 1690 to 1704. I've just stung myself on those nettles. So I didn't even know we were going to be entering the estate, and there's actually a lake, I think, between us and the hall. It's almost a mile down this really long avenue, but I think they need to do a little bit of maintenance work of the path here, because it's all very overgrown at the moment. So we've just arrived here at West Acre, and behind me here is the Church of All Saints, and this is Grade 1 listed and dates to the 14th century. But right next to it, alongside that I didn't know was here, is this absolutely wonderful Abbey Gatehouse. Now this is Grade 1 listed and dates to the 14th century, and it's actually the northern gate to St Mary and All Saints Priory, which sits down this long driveway here, and there are some standing remains in the fields behind. Now the priory itself was founded in 1100 before being taken over by the Augustinian house, and the upstanding remains are Grade 2 and Grade 2 star listed, and the entire area is a scheduled ancient monument. So I'm here now at the entrance to Castle Acre Priory, and this site is owned and managed by English Heritage. And right at the entrance is this wonderful Priory Gatehouse. Now, this is Grade 1 listed, stands at 2 stories high and dates to circa 1500. And considering the Priory was dissolved in 1537, it didn't stand long before it was demolished. And if you can actually go in, it's about £10 I think per person to go in and have a look around. And just round the corner, I believe I can have a look over the fields to the Priory ruins as well. Now, this is a Cluniac Priory dedicated to St Mary, I think, and St Paul and St Peter. And it was founded in 1090. And of course, the upstanding remains are Grade 1 listed as well. And the entire area is a scheduled ancient monument. And it's going to take you at least 2 or 3 hours really to have a look around all of the Priory ruins. And considering there's Castle Acre Castle just up ahead, unfortunately I haven't really got time to look at it today, but I'll certainly have a look across the fields just up ahead. In the village centre is the Grade 1 listed Church of St Mary, which dates to the 14th century, but definitely replaced an earlier building on the site, as some elements are dated to around circa 1300. Close to the church is the Grade 1 listed Bailey Gate, which dates to about 1300, and would have been one of the main entrances in and out of the large castle grounds that cover much of the village of Castle Acre now. So where I am at the moment is inside Castle Acre Castle, and this is actually the keep that I'm in at the moment. And this building dates to about 1165 and stood about 19 metres high, and of course is a scheduled ancient monument. I believe all the building work is Grade 1 listed as well. Now, this wasn't the first building on the site. There actually used to be a country house on the site, and if I take you just out the entrance in a moment, you can see the outer wall of that country house, because it actually had a larger footprint than the keep. But prior to that building being constructed, I'm under the impression that there was a Saxon hall on the site before the castle was founded. So we've just left Castle Acre and we're crossing this grazing field, and just about a quarter of a mile ahead I can see a really old church. Now I know this church is the Church of All Saints and it's Grade 1 listed, and it dates all the way back to the 11th century, and in fact the tower is also 11th century, potentially Saxo-Norman, so it may have predated the Norman castle, which is only a quarter of a mile behind me. If not, it's definitely built around the same time as the initial phase of the castle, but it is actually in a neighbouring village. So we've just arrived here now in the village of East Lexham, and there's a little detour that I'd highly recommend, and that is to this building here. So it's the Saxon Round Tower Church, which is in this village, but it is just down this road here. So it's a few hundred metres down here around the corner. So we're going to take this little detour and have a look at the church, and then backtrack down here and then follow the fields to Litcham. So hopefully you can hear me over the jets, but we've just arrived here at St Andrew's Church in East Lexham, and it is a beautiful Grade 1 listed building that dates back to the 11th century. And if I turn you this way, look at the corner here of the nave. You can see there is long and short work. That is diagnostically Saxon. And this round tower, now there's only 124 round towers in Norfolk, and I think only 180 in England. So most of them here in Norfolk, but this one is particularly special because they think this one dates to 900 AD or thereabouts. So that actually makes it the oldest round tower in Norfolk and potentially the oldest round tower in England. It's absolutely incredible that a building can survive that long and still be in use, being used for the same purpose for well over 1,000 years. So another interesting fact is that the churchyard is actually round, with the church on a slight mound in the middle, and that would generally indicate that the site was used for pagan worship before converting to Christianity in the 7th century. So we've just entered Litcham Common Nature Reserve, and just back there, when we were walking along the edge of the field, we were actually on the line of a Roman road called the Fen Causeway, and that route actually ran across Norfolk and then across the Fens as well towards Peterborough. But this trail through the woodland here is going to lead us into the village of Litcham, and that's where we've parked the car and we're going to end this section of the walk. It's been a little bit longer than anticipated. We thought about 18.5 kilometres and we're actually at about 20.5 at the moment, so it's going to be closer to 13 or 14 miles. But if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and also ring the bell to keep up to date with future uploads, and I'll see you in part 3.